It was a pleasure to burn. This iconic opening line introduces us to the world of Ray Bradbury's 1953 masterpiece, Fahrenheit 451. Imagine a future where firemen don't put out fires, they start them. Their target? Books. Their goal? The total eradication of independent thought to ensure a blissful ignorance for all. But as we'll see today, the most terrifying part of this dystopia isn't the government, it's the people who begged for the flames. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology, the characters, and the hauntingly prescient themes of this classic novel. The story is set in a future American town where Guy Montag, our protagonist, serves as a dedicated fireman. For 10 years, he has taken pleasure in seeing things blackened and changed. However, his world begins to unravel when he meets his eccentric teenage neighbor, Clarice McClellan. Clarice is a catalyst. She is curious about nature and the world, rejecting the technology her society depends on. She asks Montag a simple, devastating question. Are you happy? At first, Montag is in denial, but he soon realizes his happiness is just a mask. This realization is cemented when he finds his wife, Mildred, overdosed on sleeping pills. The emergency technicians who arrive aren't doctors, they are cold, nonchalant vacuum pump technicians who claim they do 9 or 10 of these cases a night. This shows us a society that is spiritually hollow. People are so unhappy they constantly try to end their lives, yet they are so numb they can't even remember doing it the next morning. Why are books illegal? Most readers assume it was a top-down government ban, but Bradbury gives us a more complex answer through the character of Captain Beatty. Beatty, the fire chief, is a fascinating paradox. He is well-read and knowledgeable, yet he uses that knowledge to justify destroying books. Beatty explains that the censorship didn't start with a government decree. Instead, it was driven by technology, mass exploitation, and minority pressure. As society moved faster, stories were diluted into headlines and sound bites. People wanted to avoid any ideas that made them feel unbalanced or offended. Eventually, the public simply lost interest in learning. The government merely stepped in to provide what the people wanted, a world where everyone is equal and happy because no one has to think. In this world, fire destroys responsibility. If you don't like a problem, you just burn it. As Montag begins to steal and read books, he enters a state of existential crisis. He reaches out to Faber, a retired English professor who becomes his mentor. Faber explains that books themselves aren't the magic thing. It's the quality of information, the leisure to digest it, and the right to act on what you learn. To keep him under control, the state uses the Mechanical Hound, a terrifying computerized attack dog that can track any human by scent. This symbolizes the ultimate surveillance state, punishing anyone who resists conformity. One of the most emotional moments occurs when Montag tries to read poetry to Mildred and her friends. The women have a complete meltdown because the beauty of the words shatters their shallow reality. They're so used to interactive TV walls and seashell ear radios, early versions of AirPods, that real human emotion is a physical threat to them. The climax of the novel is explosive. Mildred turns Montag in, and Beatty forces Montag to burn his own house. In a final act of rebellion, Montag turns the flamethrower on Beatty and kills him, then flees the city while being hunted by a second Mechanical Hound. He eventually finds a group of book people led by a man named Granger. These intellectual outlaws have found a way to preserve literature without physical books. They memorize them. They call themselves dusty jackets for books, seeing themselves not as superiors, but as humble guardians of human wisdom. The novel ends with a chilling atomic war that destroys the city in an instant. While Mildred and the rest of the apathetic citizens are vaporized, Montag and the book people survive in the countryside. They turn back toward the ruins, hoping to rebuild a society based on knowledge rather than noise. The symbol of the phoenix is used here, the bird that burns itself to ashes only to rise again. Ray Bradbury wrote this book in the basement of the UCLA library on a typewriter that cost 10 cents per half hour. He wasn't just writing about government censorship, he was warning us about apathy. He feared a world where we would be so distracted by junk food humor and fast-paced media like modern-day TikTok or YouTube shorts that we would lose the ability to reflect on our own lives. Fahrenheit 451 remains a masterpiece because it reminds us that the unexamined life is not worth living. It tells us that while fire can destroy, it can also provide warmth and a new beginning. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis insightful, like and subscribe for more deep dives into the books that shaped our world.